Hey there everyone, thanks for joining me. Miller here from Eric's Drink Whiskey, bringing you guys another little feature of a upcoming single barrel pick from Jigz Liquors here in Gainesville, Florida. If you recall, a couple months ago I was fortunate enough to give you guys some tasting notes and a quick review on the Knob Creek single barrel straight rye pick. It was absolutely phenomenal. Was a big fan of that pick. Today, bringing you guys something that's special that is a little bit different from that. It's a lot a bit different from that actually. And that is a special release or a limited release of West American Prairie Bourbon finished in a peated Scotch barrel. That is this beauty right here. Finished in a peated Scotch barrel for 8 months and bottled at 49.2%. That's 98.4 if you're playing the home game. Now, if you've watched our show at all, you know that both Eric and I love peated Scotch. And actually, the younger the peated Scotch, the better for us. We really love that real powerful, smoky, briny flavor. So I'm really looking forward to seeing kind of what notes of that appear on this, because I'm also a huge fan of High West. West American Prairie Bourbon is a blend of several straight bourbons. It has a very nice complexity that way outkicks the coverage of the price point, I think. Their other products are fantastic. I'm a huge fan of their Campfire whiskey, which is a blend of a rye straight bourbon and peated Scotch. So it's got a nice smoky herbal flavor. It's great for sitting around a fire with, as the name would indicate. Their double rye Rendezvous rye, fantastic. And of course, Midwinter Night's Dram, the French port oak finished rye that they put out every year is so good, so good. Especially as the weather starts getting cooler. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about this guy right here. So again, typical High West bottle, that cool cowboy John Wayne looking, just like kind of, you know, get in there with your teeth and rip the cork off. Got a glass poured right here. So we're gonna jump right in and see what's going on with this guy. So my nose keeps going back and forth between, are we smelling a Scotch or are we smelling a bourbon? It's got a lot of the really nice smokiness, a little bit of the tarriness of an Islay Scotch. Think more, if you're a peat head, think more Lefroy 10 than Ardbeg 10. It doesn't necessarily have that kind of maritime brininess that you get on the Ardbeg. But you sniff through that a little bit, or as your nose gets alchemated, I guess, you get some nice florals, some nice deep brown sugar, some of those rye notes that you start picking up from the bourbon underneath. And that's a really cool progression for a nose on a whiskey, I think. Like, I could honestly just sit here and smell this all day. It smells so good, but I'm not, because I want to drink this so badly, especially because it's like 50 degrees and raining out right now. So this is a perfect, absolutely perfect drink for today. Cheers. Wow, that is so unique, so delicious. Where do we begin? It's a really, even though it's only 98 proof, and this is kind of a mouthfeel that you would normally get from a much higher proof, almost a cask strength. But it's a nice coating mouthfeel, nice, warm, thick, rich, nice and sweet. But you start getting in some of that smokiness. The best way I can describe it, for those of you who have been camping, it's that kind of, after you've doused the campfire, that kind of wet campfire ash. I know that sounds off-putting, but trust me, it's not. It tastes the way that smells. So you get that smokiness, just a hint of a brininess on there. So again, if you're a Scotch drinker, peat-wise, this is going to more favor a Lefroy or a Caol Ila than it is an Ardbeg. Let's see, what else do we get? As you become accustomed to the smoke, then you get the brown sugar. You get some cinnamon. The back of your palate, you get a grassiness that is something that I really get with like some of the the higher rye stuff that they do. You just can kind of tell, oh, this was made with something that was a little bit grassy. But the other nice thing that you get throughout is this nice lingering spice. It's not like, ooh, allspice or clove. It's that kind of tingle mid palate that just kind of hangs out the whole time you're taking in the flavor, and then well after you've actually swallowed and the whiskey has finished its journey to your stomach. Such a unique, complex whiskey. This is absolutely delicious, especially for this time of year as the air's starting to get cooler and you're hanging out on your back porch by a fire pit, or this would be the perfect thing to pour and just enjoy on these kind of slightly cooler nights here in Florida, or wherever you are for that matter. Let's talk how this stacks up to some other stuff. Bourbon or Scotch finished bourbons aren't nearly as popular or common as bourbon finished Scotches. And actually, to be 100% honest, most Scotches at some point in their life of maturation are in a bourbon barrel. If you're not familiar with the law of Scotch, it just has to be put in a barrel. It doesn't matter what. It could be a wine barrel, it could be an ex-bourbon barrel, it could be a new barrel. Well, by and large, because we here in America with our bourbon, we can only use our barrels once. So we use it, it's done. Those barrels go to wineries, breweries, but most of them go across the pond to Scotland to make tasty, tasty Scotch. And then, you know, at some point they finish it in a sherry cask or a port cask or all three and blend it or whatever. Now, all that to say, there are a handful of true bourbon cask, bourbon barrel finished Scotches out there. If you recall, last year we did a blind of some of the famous Grouse's offerings with Scott from the Scotch Test Dummies. One of those was a bourbon cask finish. As I recall, it was not very remarkable. Another popular, more recent bourbon cask finish was the Ardbeg Scorch. So they took Ardbeg, which is already, you know, nice and briny and smoky and all that fun stuff, and put it in a supercharred ex-bourbon cask. We've actually got a video up on our channel. Simpson reviewed that. But the overall sentiment of that one is meh. It kind of just fell flat. It didn't really add anything. You know, we, especially as bourbon drinkers, we think, oh, bourbon finished Scotch, this will be really good. But the fact of the matter is, the flavor that we know of bourbon has already gotten its flavor out of the barrel. Like, the barrel's done. Like, there's no more of that fresh, spicy oak flavor to infuse into anything. So you're just putting it in a soggy, charred barrel. So take that for what you will. This, on the other hand, this picks up those nice notes of peat. This picks up the hint of brininess. This picks up maybe a little extra spice from the oak that balances out some of that sweetness. This is absolutely a wonderful, wonderful pour. You guys are absolutely going to love it. Now, not everyone's a fan of peat, and I understand that. You know, I talked to my dad about Scotch, my father-in-law, and he's like, oh, I can't drink that peaty stuff. I think where a lot of the off notes of peat come from are with the brininess, that kind of seaweedy maritime salt spray flavor that you're going to get from an Ardbeg. This is a much tamer, much more smoky peat that I think will be appealing to a wider audience. If you are a peat head, you're going to love this. If you are a bourbon drinker who dabbles in Scotch, you're going to love this. If you are somebody who's on the fence about peat, you're gonna love this. I think it's a really approachable flavor that you can't go wrong with. It's subtle enough, but also present enough that it's gonna give you what you want without going overboard. So, details on the release. 11/11 Veterans Day, this Thursday at 7 p.m. at Jigz Liquors. That's located in the Public Shopping Center at the corner of Williston Road and 34th Street in Gainesville, Florida. If you're traveling to the release, which I highly encourage you to do, or at least swing in to pick up one that weekend, that's exit 382 in Alachua County. That'll put you on Williston Road and right there at the Public, so definitely swing in. Check them out. Jigz always has a lot of extra goodies lined up. You know, pull some stuff out of the bag for these releases. It's always a lot of fun. The atmosphere is great, so definitely check it out. This is one that you absolutely don't want to miss, especially as the weather starts getting cooler. This is going to be the pour of the fall for folks here in Gainesville and North Central Florida. So thank you to the team at Jigz for giving me another chance to taste and talk about one of these amazing picks. I've absolutely enjoyed it. Thank you to the Eric's Drink Whiskey family out there for sticking with us and joining us. Like, share, subscribe, and follow. All our social media information is coming on at the end of the video. And also be sure to check out our podcast, EDW NCF, that's Eric's Drink Whiskey Non-Chill Filtered, on Shout Engine and Apple Podcast. Again, thanks to the team at Jigz Liquors. This is phenomenal. I love it. I will be out of town, but I will be sending my wife to buy another bottle to keep a spare of this one. So until next time, everyone, cheers.